Now, there came a time then when Maya got sick. Is that right?
Yes.
The jury's heard a little bit about this, but why don't you tell them from your perspective what happened that weekend of July 3rd, 4th? Yeah, and if we could, Judge, we'd like to publish our timeline that as a demonstrative aid. We provided it to council. You have it.
Yeah, that's good.
No, just publish it. We're not entering it into evidence.
It's the same timeline.
Is there an objection?
It's the same.
Yeah, that's fine. If Mr. Anderson just trying to put it on the screen,
Yes.
that's fine, no objection.
PowerPoint.
It's the timeline.
Just, yeah. So keep the jury oriented here. All right, so tell us about now, before July 3rd, 4th, had Maya already been to Johns Hopkins once? On June 16th, 2015?
Yes, originally she went to Doctors Hospital for asthma complications. And I believe doctors do not hold pediatrics overnight. I could be wrong on that. So they were going to airlift her to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. The weather was bad that day, so they just did a ground transport.
That may have been after July 4th. I was looking at the June 2015 before.
This was June 16th.
Okay, that was the June 16th?
Yes.
All right, my mistake. All right, and this was for, again, her asthma?
Severe cough, bronchial spasms.
Now, generally speaking, as the kids were growing up, were they healthy?
They were healthy. Maya has seasonal allergies. Most of us do, but she always seemed the allergies bothered her a little more. She would have the little, around the eyes and that. She did have asthma. She was diagnosed, I believe, at Lurie's Children's. It was a satellite in Westchester, Illinois. But didn't have too many complications. She did have croup here and there. A lot of times I would put her in the car to take her to ER, and up north, the cold weather helps the croup. So by the time I got there, it would be gone. But
Did that keep Maya down from any of her activities? Or was it?
at that time, no. She was gymnastics, ice skating, everything like that. But, she did have allergies.
Other than the allergies and asthma, was it just typical childhood illnesses?
And not much other than that.
And Kyle as well?
Kyle, healthy as well. He has seasonal allergies. I don't think it bothers him as much.
All right, and so now let's get to that weekend of July 3rd and 4th. And I believe the jury's seen some photographs and maybe a movie of that, but can you tell the jury the first time you thought or saw or heard that Maya was in trouble?
Well, she was having, in between that June 16th and up to July 4th, she was having quite a bit of asthma problems, or a weird cough, which wasn't the cough we used to hear. So it was kind of alarming to us. But in between that time, she did visit different ERs for that condition.
All right, so by the time of July 4th weekend, she had been in one outpatient and one inpatient at Johns Hopkins?
Yes.
All right, so tell the jury what happened then on that July 3rd, July 4th weekend.
So we have a neighborhood, as you've seen, I think the picture, we have a neighborhood bike parade for the children, and then also a party afterwards. She was riding her bike in the morning, no problems whatsoever, and then at that, later that evening, she was having a problem with asthma. there was some sparklers the kids were playing with. We cannot pinpoint if that's what triggered it or not, but, so Beata took her to the emergency room, to Sarasota Memorial.
All right. This was on what day?
That was July 4th, I believe.
Okay. Were you there then for the episode with her on the floor that's been testified to, the scream?
Yeah, unfortunately, we were the ones hosting the party
Right.
that year. So, yeah, everything became chaotic, and seeing her in that pain, we knew something wasn't right. You know, it wasn't something we seen before. She was in more pain than that.
Well, were you present or not present for this sound that witnesses have testified to?
At a certain point I was, but I don't recall being in there when it first happened. I may have been outside at first and then was notified and came in.
Well, describe Maya's condition after this. Was she calm, cool, collected, or was she acting out? What was going on?
There was, like I said, it was a weird cough, and she was also, I believe there was chest pain with it.
And so you then took her to emergency room?
Beata took her to the emergency room, and then I was home trying to get everything shut down or taken care of.
Okay. And you were worried at that time? Were you?
Yes, I was worried every time she went in.
All right. So on July 11th, 2015, was Maya admitted to Johns Hopkins? Or July 6th? excuse
July
me.
6th, yes.
Through the 11th. All right.
Yeah, this was a admission July 6th to July 11th.
Okay. And over that period of time, did anyone at Johns Hopkins ever raise any issues or concerns about your relationship to Maya or Kyle, like that they were troubled?
No, not at all.
Did anyone ever doubt either Maya or your Beata's description of what was happening with her?
No.
So then Maya came out, and then there was a second admission on July 15th. Tell us how that happened.
July 17th.
17th.
That was my birthday.
Okay. Happy birthday. And
Yeah.
what happened, if anything?
She was admitted again to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. That was for difficulty breathing, I believe. And then she also had acute pain all over, which was something that we didn't experience before. I believe she was diagnosed with myopathy or due to the steroids.
Okay. Let's, if we can, it's in evidence as 1008-002. If we could. So what was the diagnosis here, I believe, as you just testified to?
Yeah, generalized pain, myopathy, weakness, or fatigue.
Okay, and it's got the names of some of the doctors up there, and from your memory, did you get along, you and Beata get along well with the doctors there?
I don't recall any problems.
Okay. And then, let me show you Joint Exhibit 1008-0003. Again, this is in evidence as part of the records. And I'll direct you then to the second paragraph there where it says presented as soon as it comes up. Okay, so if you would, take a look at this. And if it refreshes your recollection, can you tell the jury what happened then while she was in Johns Hopkins? This 17th, second paragraph.
Second paragraph. She had acute increased pain, everywhere. And mainly muscles.
Okay,
Over the past 6 days since discharge has been stable. Pain and weakness have been constant.
well, it says, but had been able to sit in a wheelchair and something there. Before this time, was she even having difficulty sitting in the wheelchair?
She had one time she came back from the emergency room, she had weakness where Beata had to carry her into the home. But the next day, she was able to get up,
Okay.
I believe.
Well, did she end up leaving Johns Hopkins on this admission in the wheelchair?
I'm sorry, there's so many roller coaster rides we were on here.
It's all right.
I believe she was in a wheelchair at this time.
Okay. So let me also ask a little bit about the consultations while you were there. On Joint Exhibit 1008-0004. Okay. And if you look at the first full paragraph, about 5 lines down. All right. And so tell us what's going on here. Excuse me.
She's in pain.
Well, what are they prescribing for that pain?
I'm gonna really do
Did
bad
they-
with these names.
Let me ask you. the se-
Toradol,
Right.
yeah, oxycodone,
Mhm.
Valium.
Right. And was this able to control the pain, or was she
Now
still in
then,
pain?
as you go right after
Judge
that,
objects, he's, lack of foundation and predicate.
Overall.
Did this control her pain, or was she still in pain?
no, if you continue to read right after the highlighted area, over the course of her stay, it was increased. So obviously, no. And I remember something distinctly from when she was being discharged, or right prior to discharge. There was a doctor wheeling her little computer and having, I guess, students following her. And she came up to me and she honestly, she put her arms up in the air. She goes, "I don't know what's wrong with her, but we could give her pain medication." And I said, "No, that's not acceptable." And that's when we decided to go somewhere else.
All right. So it says the patient was discharged PO with Valium, oxycodone, Tylenol, ibuprofen for pain control after extended discussion with the parents and previous outpatient provider in Chicago.
Object to the leading.
The
Sustained.
who was the previous outpatient provider in Chicago?
The outpatient previous,
Well, was this Lurie's?
she was gonna go to Lurie's Children's Hospital in Chicago.
Okay.
That's where we grew up, so we were not familiar with this area.
Okay. Now, if you look at 1008-006, I want you to just count up the number of medications that she was prescribed there.
The objection, again, record speaks for itself, also. lack
Doesn't
of
say the
foundation.
number.
Overall.
Under prescriptions?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 on this page. I
Okay.
believe. I could be wrong.
All right. And so why Lurie's? Why did you want to go back to Lurie's?
Like I stated, we're newbies here in Florida. We went to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. The name, it's a big name hospital. We thought we would get the answers there. Unfortunately, we did not. So we went back, Maya and Beata, they flew back to Chicago to go to Chicago Larry's.
Now, before anybody said, we don't know what this is, did you ever hear anyone questioning Maya's pain or your concerns over it? What was this? Did anyone at Johns Hopkins, up to the point of Lori's, ever mention anything about a problem with either your treatment of Maya or your relationship with Maya?
No, there was nothing brought up about relationship. We were concerned because we never seen a lot of these things that were going on, and it seemed like it was one thing after another, blurred vision or sensitivity to light, things like that. But when I got the arms up in the air and stating that we don't know what it is, but we could give pain medication, that's not the answer we wanted.
All right. And so what happened when you went up to Lori's?
Beata and Maya flew there. I called ahead of time, and Chicago Fire Department, along with our fire department, met them at the airplane and took her off the plane. They took her directly into Chicago. A fire chief waited for their luggage and brought it right after. But she went to Chicago Leary's.
Was this an inpatient?
I believe so, yes.
And approximately how long was she there?
I think it was a short visit, I know that.
A week or so?
21st through the 24th.
There you go. And over the course of this, did Lori's come to any conclusions beyond this muscle pain?
It's such a short visit, I honestly do not know if they came up with a conclusion of what it was, but they recommended to go back to an inpatient rehab for Maya.
So no solutions at this point?
No, we're still undetermined of what's wrong with her.
Now, had Maya started rehab, any kind of rehab by this point?
She did go through, I don't know if it was at that time, if she was going to All Children's Satellite in Sarasota. I could be wrong, it could be after. Honestly, there's just so much of this.
I understand. All right. But in any event, what, if any, diagnoses can you recall that Lori's came up with?
They did not diagnose.
Did they ever talk to you about any psychosocial problems while you were there?
I was not there, so,
Okay.
yeah.
With Beata, those to your knowledge?
Beata was there. I don't know if that's where this conversion disorder or fictitious disorder came from. I honestly don't know.
Well, did any information come to you from any source to indicate that Lori's had reached out and tried to explain why they went from not knowing what it is to allegations of conversion?
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
Okay, so let's continue on then. After that week or so in Lurie's, and I guess she had been seeing Dr. Wassenauer. Who is he?
Dr. Wasner is our primary care physician. He's in Osprey, Florida.
Okay. Can we move the slide to the next one, I believe?
Back up and go to the October admission.
Okay, sorry, got to go to the October admission on the timeline. All right, so.
There was, sorry to interrupt you, but there was also a visit with Dr. Nathan Tang. He was an allergist. That
Where?
was in St. Pete.
And what
And
were
that
you
was
looking
July 29th.
And what were you looking for there?
That was in reference to the asthma.
Were you looking for different doctors that were on your health insurance plan?
A lot of it, yes, that was a big factor as well.
So on October 20th, 2015, was there another ER visit?
October 2015?
Yes, October 20th, 2015 there, the end of this.
Yes, I do not have that listed on mine, but yeah, that was
Take a look, I think. it should be-
10/15?
Yes, 2015.
Yes.
All right. And so you went back to Johns Hopkins for what? An abdominal pain, constipation, and then someone proposed RSD, reflex sympathetic dystrophy?
That was, you said October 15th, I'm sorry.
Yes, the 20th of October, 2015.
Okay.
There, it's the
Yeah.
last one on the top.
Your Honor, we object if we could approach.
Okay.
Bring up 1014-0002. Okay, I'd like you to look down under diagnoses. What's under the discharge diagnosis? What are they saying it was?
Abdominal pain,
Yes, and under that?
reflex sympathetic dystrophy,
What is
and
that
constipation. I'm sorry.
And what is RSD in terms of CRPS?
That's the old name. Now it's CRPS, chronic regional pain syndrome.
So effectively here on October 21st, 2015, Johns Hopkins is diagnosing reflex sympathetic dystrophy.
Objection, lack of foundation, mistakes facts.
It's right here.
Sustained, you gotta do the foundation.
I'm not sure for what he's talking about. Which part?
I'm happy to say more if you'd like.
I'll continue. Let's take a look at Joint Exhibit 1014-0003. And again, for the record, this is a Johns Hopkins discharge summary of admission date, October 20th, discharge date, October 23rd. And is this the narrative, the best of your knowledge, from that stay for your daughter?
Yeah, objection, lack of foundation.
What's the? It's in
Overruled.
evidence.
You can answer, sir.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry.
All right, if we look at the top line then, does it again reiterate what their diagnosis was here?
Same objection, lack of foundation, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Yes, it does. Reflex sympathetic dystrophy syndrome.
Okay. And here did she have some abdominal pain?
Yes.
So in terms of new symptoms, on this October 7th, 2016, the next year, did she have abdominal pain at that time as well? The one we're about here?
The first admission?
Yeah, the one on October 7th that we're about here.
Oh, October 7th, yes.
All right, and so then it says there about 3/4 of the way down, if you'll note, because of RSD symptoms, she has a lot of opiate treatments, such that Maya takes more oxycodone than baseline. Mom ensures that she has her on Marilax. So from your knowledge, were you familiar with the different medications that your daughter was taking?
Object to the leading, Your Honor.
Overruled. You can answer.
She was on quite a bit of medications.
Were those prescribed primarily by Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Overruled.
Most of them, yes.
And so if we're talking about whether Maya then started to go through treatment regimens with opiates at this time?
She was.
All right. Now, it says on the bottom, neurological, unable to fully examine lower extremity at any time during hospitalization due to patient reluctance and complaints of hypersensitivity. I lightly touched her right knee one morning and she nearly jumped off the bed and began shaking and crying. First, let me ask you, over this time, have you become familiar with what the symptoms of CRPS are?
We, just prior to this, correct, is when we went to Dr. Kirkpatrick.
What I'm saying is now, are you?
Yeah,
familiar?
oh, yes, yes.
And what is this called when you just jump off the bed or you jump out of the chair when there's a light touch?
That, I believe, is called allodynia.
And what other symptoms did she have at this point? Did she have blurred vision?
Hypersensitivity, light touch her right knee in the morning. There he jumped out of bed, began shaking and crying.
From the last visit, did it, if you recall, did it state that she had blurred vision? I
I
think you just testified to it.
believe so, yes, yeah.
Okay, so we've got extreme pain, blurred vision, and we have what did appear to you, now knowing what you know, that the allodynia was appearing?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, had her legs, ankles started to turn in, or were they still straight?
I believe at that time they might have been dropping down.
Kind of like that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. But then says, I found this unusual. She's capable of moving her legs around under numerous heavy blankets without experiencing pain. So tell the jury from what you know about allodynia, why that is significant or not significant.
Well, there's days that if you start approaching her, she'll retract from you. And then there's days that it doesn't really bother her as much. But the allodynia, it was very difficult. I remember Kyle trying to help her, and her legs would just start to shake. I mean, it was bad.
Okay. Now, prior to this date, had you tried physical therapy at a hospital? What is Tampa General Hospital?
Tampa General, we went there for a month admission, and that was for intense physical therapy.
I know.
She was admitted for 1 month.
So she actually went in-house for therapy?
That is correct. And at that point, her arms were extremely weak. They worked on her arms to be able to groom and eat by herself. And then from there, they worked on the lower extremities.
And the jury's heard from the physical therapist there, but did you visit her there?
I was there as much as I could be.
And did you observe your daughter there?
I did.
And was she in pain the times that you saw her?
She was in pain, and then they made these boots for her to try to straighten her feet out. And when those were placed on her feet, it was extremely painful.
What was it like watching her? go through
There
that?
was a doctor there, Dr. Kornberg. He said if she doesn't straighten her feet out, he's going to break them and straighten them out himself.
Was
And I'll
that
never
in-
forget that when he said that.
Did you take that in jest, or did you take that as serious?
That was, you don't joke like that. Not to a person in pain like that in the first place.
Well, did they give you any additional alternatives other than, okay, we tried PT and that's not working? They give you any other things to do?
We agreed to try to PT, and we.
More PT?
Yeah, we were there for a month.
And was it successful or not successful?
Partially.
Partially? Did it help
The
her a little
The
bit?
upper extremities, yes.
So it did help on the upper
Yes.
extremities? And did it help on the lower extremities?
No, unfortunately, it was getting worse.
Right. And so I can show this if we need to, but it's at, did I show 10140008?
Not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
All right, let's show that. Okay, so in this last visit from Johns Hopkins, skipping ahead, it was, if you count up here on the 2 pages, does it indicate that there were 24 separate, distinct medications or vitamin remedies that were prescribed for Maya when she left?
Now I see 24, yes.
And those included oxycodone, is it number 19?
Yes.
And 11 diazepam, which
Yes.
is Valium, right?
Mhm.
And baclofen, what is that? Is that a muscle relaxant?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Okay. But in any event, were they continuing now on the opiate physical therapy train in terms of treating your daughter?
Yes.
Object to the foundation speculation.
Overruled.
All right. So now you've been to how many hospitals, including Johns Hopkins, to try to get this diagnosed?
Quite a bit.
And had you seen some outpatient providers here and there?
Yes.
Did anybody have any answers for you as to why your daughter had these reactions, different reactions than what the doctors expected? Up until that point, did any doctors?
What was the last date on that? I'm sorry.
I thought that was 10/20 to 10/23.
Yeah,
So
so,
October 20th and 21st.
All right, 20th to
yeah, so
21st.
prior to that, we did see Dr. Kirkpatrick.
Okay,
And
so let's talk a little bit about that. So how did you find Dr. Kirkpatrick?
Beata was at a patient's home doing a treatment. The gentleman lived in Naples, Florida.
Okay.
So she would be given the treatment, and she received a phone call from Tampa
Objecting to
General.
hearsay, Your Honor.
Madam Court Reporter, can I have the specific question back?
Question, so let's talk a little bit about that. So how did you find Dr. Kirkpatrick?
Overruled.
You can answer.
So while she was there treating a patient, she received a call from Tampa General Hospital. Bonnie Rice was the nurse practitioner. And she basically told Beata that Maya has conversion disorder, or fictitious disorder, I don't know which one. Beata was not pleased to hear that. I'm sure she got a little vocal on the phone. The patient overheard it. So after she hung up with the nurse practitioner, the gentleman said, "It sounds like your daughter has CRPS." And she's like, "What is CRPS?" She did not know. She came home, she did research, and then she did find Dr. Hannah. This patient that she was taking care of, his daughter was in Mexico with CRPS, getting treated.
So how did you get to Dr. Kirkpatrick before Dr. Hannah? Which came first?
Dr. Kirkpatrick was first. She did research. She did set up an appointment to have Maya evaluated. I went with her. That was in Tampa. He did a pretty thorough evaluation.
Was that videotaped?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, regardless of videotape, can you give an idea to the jury about how far your daughter at that point could lift her arm?
She did not have much motion in her arms to raise them up high without being in pain. She did have more dystonia, that's the turning of the feet. There was allodynia, that's the sensitivity, the touching. She had some other weird things going on, temperature differences. I had no clue that, that all this was going, some of the nails, some of the hair, I guess the growth of the hair was different. But he was asking questions, and it's like, yeah, it's the first time we're hearing somebody ask us questions, and it seemed like he was on to something.
It made sense to you?
Yes. We were somewhat relieved to get a diagnosis, but also extremely sad. It's a diagnosis that we have to live with the rest of our life.
So he informed you of the basics of CRPS?
Yes.
All right. And so at first then, what did Dr. Kirkpatrick prescribe? Did he go straight to ketamine, or did he go to another treatment first?
I think there was some exercising. We did pool therapy. Right away when he recommended the pool therapy, we do have a pool at home. It is heated by the solar panels on the roof, but we added extra panels to make sure that it had to be at a certain temperature range. It's like a bathtub, basically.
Is this known as warm water therapy?
Yes.
And so he wanted more warm water therapy as PT?
Yes.
So,
And he limited it to a certain amount of time, not to exceed a certain amount of time each day.
so he did not go immediately to ketamine. He tried what you'd had before, or had you had warm water therapy before?
Object to the leading, Your Honor.
I don't believe we had.
Hang on, I'll rephrase.
Sorry.
Had you had warm water therapy prescribed for you before this?
I don't believe at that time, no.
And was this his first treatment before he went to medications?
I believe that's the first treatment.
All right. And so by this point, it doesn't need to be exactly accurate, but can you tell me about how many different weeks, how many times your daughter had been to physical therapy for this problem by this point?
You know, physical therapy at that time, we had to be careful. We couldn't, overdo it. We had to do it, slowly. And but I honestly do not remember the amount of time.
You'd been at Tampa General for 4 weeks,
That was a whole month,
a
yes.
whole month, and you had had some PT at Johns Hopkins, different points?
Yes, that was at the satellite office in Sarasota, I think on Clark, I could be wrong.
And you'd been to Lurie's, and they had PT as part of it, did they?
Lurie's, I couldn't answer to that. I do not recall that.
So at least 4 or 5 weeks
Yes,
of PT?
and including at home. And I believe physical agility at that time we were with them as well. That's in Venice.
I want to talk for a moment about Maya's pain. And I want you to tell the jury how you know when your daughter's in pain.
Being in the house and hearing your kid screaming 24/7, there's nothing that we could do.
Was this every night at this point?
It was mostly throughout the day and night. After hearing that, Bonnie Rice saying it's conversion disorder, this child was screaming and crying. If she took a shower, the droplets of the water would make her scream. You put a sheet over her legs, she would scream. She had to be assisted on the toilet, and she would scream. She'd look out the window, see her friends playing, and you knew that she's not faking this. Did I ever think she was faking at first? It was like a light switch where, all of a sudden everything changed. It's like, it is just so unbelievable that something could happen that quick.
Did they ever figure out if it was a ankle sprain from gymnastics or the asthma that was a precipitating event?
That we never determined what it was, but prior to this, I believe it was April, May, she was in gymnastics at the YMCA in Venice. She did have a right ankle injury. It was like a sprain or strain. They called and asked if we wanted to be, have it followed up by a doctor. They were very good about it. They were concerned about her. But in time, it went away. But
Until
we
this.
cannot pinpoint that injury on it.
Where was everybody sleeping in this period of time from once it got worse after July 4th of 2015 up to this point, the early fall of 2015?
Honestly, it didn't matter where you're sleeping in the house, you could hear her. We took turns taking care of her. Beato's still working. She's the one that maintained our health care insurance, so we had to switch off. It was very difficult, extremely difficult. Poor Kyle's close to her room. I'm sure it interfered with his sleep as well, and he's going to school.
All right. And so you went to Dr. Kirkpatrick, and he prescribed some physical therapy, again, this time water. What was the next step? That's right. Before that, can you tell the jury whether Maya, by temperament, was a child that would make a mountain out of a molehill, scream a lot louder for just a little thing, or was
No.
she more on the stoic side?
Absolutely not. They're just like me. I could tolerate pain, but when I had a kidney stone, that's what kicked my butt, and I'm sure that's what she felt like, if not worse,
And from just her facial expression, can you always tell she's in pain, or does she hide it well?
She would try to hide it, and I don't know if Dr. Chopra is the one that mentioned it, but there's ups and downs with that, where it could be extreme for some time, and then there's times where it's not as severe. You could see her face. You knew she had pain.
Are there days when she doesn't look like she's having pain, but she is?
Yes, and in fact, we were in church several times where we had to leave. You know, it bothered her that much.
Do you have any explanation for why somebody would put down in the Tampa General documents or Lori's documents this idea that it was all in her head when you had all of these instances you brought to their attention?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
What, if any, mention did they make to you up until Bonnie Rice that you should consider that Maya was making this up? Or did they not talk to you?
Objection to the lack of foundation, misstatement.
Overruled. You can answer that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Other than Bonnie Rice calling you and telling you, did any doctor there before Dr. Kirkpatrick in this period ever sit you and Beata down and explain why they thought it, or was this just a diagnosis you discovered?
Nobody ever sat us down.
Did you sense frustration at all, or whatever emotion, from the doctor's inability to identify what was wrong with Maya?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
What, if any, reactions did you note if you brought up the pain your daughter was having with the different doctors and nurses?
Brought it up, but they had no answers.
And through looking at their face and their mannerisms, were they frustrated? Did they appear frustrated with this?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled on that one.
Like I said before, you know, the doctor holding their hands up and saying, we don't know what it is, but we could give pain medication.
Was that concerning to you?
It
and
was very
Beata?
concerning, and that's why we left.
Did you
We know
want
our
your
daughter.
Did you want your daughter on opioids, or did you not want your daughter
No,
on?
we want whatever's wrong with her taken care of correctly.
All right, then. So I want you to then, considering the PT and opiate therapy to this point, I want you to explain to the jury when and how you learned about ketamine.
That was with the consultation with Dr. Kirkpatrick, Anthony Kirkpatrick in Tampa.
And if you recall, what did he tell you about that?
He explained the procedure. He talked about, you know, it's been around for quite a long time. You know, he mentioned that it's used for many things. It's safe. There is the side effect when they're coming out of it is a hallucination for a short period of time, but then they come, you know, everything's back to normal.
Did he explain that that was generally controlled by another med like Presidex or others?
Objection to the leading.
Overruled on that one.
Did he explain at that time that hallucinations could be suppressed or controlled with the use of other medications?
I don't recall, to be honest with you.
Well, ask
He
Dr.
did,
Kirkpatrick.
he did give us a website to look at also for, and then other literature. Once again, I wouldn't expect Beata to go put out a house fire, and I don't want to be a nurse, so
Right.
that was in her part.
So how is this affecting Beata now before Dr. Kirkpatrick? Was there what was her sense about it?
Beata was looking for the answer. She knew there was nothing wrong with Maya's head. You know your child. The child's not going to all of a sudden just decide, I'm going to fake this and not play with my friends outside and, you know, just sit around and watch your body deteriorate. Along with that, you don't put lesions on your body by yourself as well.
When do those start?
I don't recall exactly when, but that was another sign of the CRPS.
Mr. Anderson, In the next 5 to 10 minutes, can you find us a good landing spot for a break?
Yes, sir. I'm just going to finish up with Dr. K and we'll be done.
5 to 10 minutes.
Dr. K?
Dr. Kirkpatrick.
Oh, I thought you meant me.
I'll refer to you as doctor from here on out. All right. So what we'd like to know now is, did Beata start asking questions of Dr. Kirkpatrick of the specifics about the safety of this before the whole procedure, before she gave her blessings to it?
Beata's very thorough. She'll ask many, many questions, and she won't stay there. You know, she'll research more, and which she did. She, I believe, asked about who's gonna be in the room, who's gonna be doing this, what if, you know, a lot of questions. She's very concerned. It's not like, go ahead and do it. And, you know, he's very knowledgeable, and that's the first person that we were able to get good answers and a good diagnosis.
And so did you press forward with a ketamine treatment?
Yes.
Tell us how that went.
Originally, well, he told us how it's gonna be. She's gonna get the treatment. She will hallucinate during that time. You know, sometimes some patient may do better than others. We did see some improvement, but unfortunately, it wasn't the lucky one to have better improvements.
Did the symptoms reduce in any way, or was this just?
Yes, they did, and I forgot how many treatments she had. I honestly don't remember, but it did help. And we did, you know what, it was, here we're on that roller coaster, and finally we're climbing up and feeling good. But then, unfortunately, at some time, we took that big dip again.
Right. And so after the series of infusions that she'd had with Dr. K, did he make further recommendations?
Yeah, there was still, we're doing PT as much as we could. But then at one point, he stated that, he had recommended that we go to Monterrey, Mexico to see Dr. Cantu. He does a procedure there.
And did he explain why?
The reasoning was, in the States, you're only allowed to do a certain level, and it's not FDA approved. And then,
The procedure?
yes, so we had to go to Mexico. He did, in detail, once again, explain the process, the ups and downs with it, you know, and we looked at, once again, Beata not saying, okay, let's go. It was research.
And
Unfortunately, during this whole time, Beata would be running around doing all this, doing her work, and also going home at night to late at night doing research.
And then in the evening with Maya?
Yes.
Taking care of her.